Well, what can I say about this game? This was one of the greatest Monday Night Football games that I have ever seen. It was an epic, titanic struggle against two teams that both really wanted to win. And you know what? The Seahawks just ended up coming out on top. Or did they? The 49ers seemingly had them beat, lining up for the game-winning field goal in overtime. But when you have a big game like this and you come out on the wrong end, I think it's most important now more than ever to take a look at the film and try to understand what went right, what went wrong, what can be improved on, so that we can go forward with a clear understanding of what happened and move on to Arizona. Let's get right into it. Okay, it's the first drive of the game, and the 49ers are facing a 3rd and 10 from their own 25-yard line. Now, right away, we see a safety up close to the line of scrimmage, but he's actually going to backpedal really aggressively. The Seahawks are going to rush with their 4 defensive linemen, and the outside linebacker will pick up the running back. The 2 corners up top are going to play man-to-man defense against the wide receivers in front of them, while the other linebacker will pick up the tight end coming out of the flat. The receiver we're going to watch on this play is Kendrick Bourne, who's going to run a square in. Okay, now right away we notice that the corner defending Bourne is playing an inside technique. In fact, it looks like the Seahawks have completely taken away the inside part of the field. But remember, those defenders aren't going to be there because the safety is still backpedaling to help defend against the deep route. And the linebacker is going to have to follow the tight end to the outside like this. This will leave Kendrick Bourne one-on-one against the corner with a chance to get to the inside. He just has to beat him. And he does. He comes open, Garoppolo gets him the football, and it's a first down. Let's go back to the snap. Now check out the separation he has there. That's pretty good, considering the corner was lined up to the inside and Bourne still beat him to the inside. Okay, let's go on to the next play. All right, now we're going to see Jadeveon Clowney take a step to his left and get Mike McGlinchey to move in that direction. And when he does, he will cut to the inside and have a free shot at Garoppolo. And this is a little bit of rust on McGlinchey's part. There is no reason for him to take a step in that direction because he has help blocking over there. The correct technique is for him to stay a little bit closer to the guard and force Clowney to go around the long way and give Garoppolo a little bit more time in the pocket. Garoppolo has to throw this ball before he's ready, and as a result, the timing with the receiver is off, incomplete. Okay, let's go on to the next play. That's Emmanuel Sanders in motion, and he's going to line up in the slot. Now the Seahawks are going to send a 5-man blitz. Now notice how far away the safety is, and he is going to move over to that side of the field to help defend against the possibility of a deep route, but Sanders is essentially one-on-one with the corner in front of him. When the corner sets up to the outside, Sanders will just run a slant, and Garoppolo hits him in stride. It's a nice catch, and on the first drive of the game, the 49ers are moving the football. So far so good, but here they're facing a 3rd and 5. All right, I'm going to stop it right here. It looks like Garoppolo has a man wide open, and Garoppolo takes a good long look at him. Ultimately, he didn't like this throw for some reason, and it could be because there is a lot of congestion in this throwing lane. In fact, when I hit play again, I want you to notice how quickly Garoppolo has to move to avoid the pass rush. He steps up in the pocket, resets his feet, and moves on to his next read, which is Marquise Goodwin. And he hits him right in the hands, and Goodwin drops it. Let's take another look. Now, one thing to notice from this angle is this time McGlinchey does a much better job staying closer to the guard and forcing Clowney to take the long way around. Clowney ends up using kind of a bull rush, but it still takes him longer, and it gives Garoppolo a lane to step up in the pocket so that he can make this throw. Oh, now, this angle doesn't even really do it justice. That is a very catchable ball. And if you want to take a look, go back and watch the broadcast footage of that. That ball hits him right in the hands. And this was an issue that would plague the 49ers all night. 9 dropped passes on the night. But they settle for the field goal, and the rookie delivers. 3-0 San Francisco. Now, I stopped it here because I want you to notice what hash Chase McLaughlin is kicking from. He's kicking from the left hash. Okay, that'll come up later on. Now, the Seahawks get the ball, and they're facing a big 3rd down and 2. The 49ers send a 6-man blitz on the play. But I just want you to watch the center here, because after he snaps the ball, he gets completely blown up by the nose tackle DJ Jones, who comes in and sacks Russell Wilson. First drive of the game, and they go 3 and out. That is big. Wilson was under duress the entire game and was sacked 5 times. The 49ers get the ball back, and they start this next drive off with a running play. And the Seahawks react very strongly. And that's unfortunate because this isn't a running play. It's a pass. Again, notice the defender taking an outside position, and Debo just runs a slant to the inside. And we talked before about the fact that Debo always makes the first man miss, and here the safety accidentally takes out his own man instead of Debo. It's a big gain, and it goes for 30 yards on the play. Now we're going to look at a couple different things when we go back to this angle. First, look at the offensive line all flowing in that direction. And Debo doesn't just make the safety miss on the play. Look at Bobby Wagner coming in to lay a hit on him, but Debo just ends up running right by him. Whoops. And then once he gets slowed up, then Wagner can come in and make the tackle. But it's too late. It's already a 30-yard gain, and he knows what a big play he made. All right. Tevin Coleman explodes through the hole, and it seems like the 49ers are just moving the ball at will here. Let's go back to the snap and look at how this play works. Again, you see the entire offensive line for the 49ers flowing to their right. But this time, the linebackers are kind of frozen. They don't know if it's going to be a run or a pass, and they're just kind of sitting ducks. So the blockers get to the second level, and then Coleman is gone. Fortunate to be wrapped up by the safety there. Now, as you can imagine, the Seahawks are getting a little tired of this game, so they decide to send a blitz. Well, sort of. Here, Pete Carroll is using a newer college technique called run-through, where the outside linebacker will just run straight to the backfield and go right at the fullback. And the idea is, if the fullback gets the ball as a ball carrier, he'll be able to blow him up. If the running back gets the ball, he'll be able to take out the lead blocker right away early on in the play. And if the quarterback keeps the ball for a pass, he'll already have a head start on the pass rush. It's just a relatively newer way to think about blitzing that's a little bit more sound, at least in theory anyway. He succeeds in taking out Juszczyk, but Garoppolo still gets the ball to Sanders, who makes a great catch. And let's go back and take a look at why this play worked. Now, interestingly enough, the Seahawks also send Bobby Wagner. Now, this isn't a 6-man blitz. What they're going to do in order to make sure the middle of the field isn't vulnerable is they're going to drop the defensive end back into a zone. The problem with this is these guys aren't really good at defending the pass. Their specialty is rushing the quarterback, and the wide receiver Sanders just goes right by him. And if you look, The defensive back is draped all over Emmanuel Sanders. This is a very tight window, but Garoppolo sticks it in there, and Sanders just makes a great catch. And he takes the hit and hangs on to the football. First down, San Francisco. All right, now they're facing a 3rd down and 9. Now, once again, the Seahawks are going to send a 5-man blitz. Emmanuel Sanders, who just made the big play, is going to go deep into the end zone, taking the corner and the safety with him. And this allows Kendrick Bourne to cut underneath with another slant. Touchdown San Francisco, and the 49ers are just feeling it on these first 2 drives. Okay, the Niners are up 10-0, and the Seahawks get the ball back again. Let's take a look and see what they do. They're facing a 3rd and 4 here. Wilson is sacked again. This is a pretty simple play. You see number 54, Fred Warner, lined up at the line of scrimmage, and the Seahawks make a mistake in their pass protection. He's going to rush the quarterback, but instead of blocking him, the guard is going to help the center double team Eric Armstead instead. Warner just has a free shot at Wilson, and he takes him down. Niners get the ball back, and it's 3rd down and 8. And this was one of my favorite plays of the game. Garoppolo, under heavy pressure, somehow gets rid of that football, gets it to Kendrick Bourne, who fights through a multitude of tacklers and gets the 1st down. Great effort play by both of them. Now, if you look over on the left-hand side, Joe Staley is blocking Jadeveon Clowney. And Staley makes the same mistake that McGlinchey made. He's too far to the outside, allowing Clowney to come inside. Remember, you want to be a little bit closer to the guard so that you force the defensive end to take the long way around. Somehow, Garoppolo gets rid of this football, and I was just so impressed by this when I saw this live. Okay, it's later on in the 2nd quarter, and the Seahawks are facing a 3rd down and 1. They fake the handoff, and Fred Warner almost had an interception there. Let's go back to the snap, because this is actually kind of interesting. Now, the Seahawks are running a play here that the 49ers run an awful lot, where they fake the handoff to the running back, they get everybody flowing in that direction, and then Wilson will bootleg out to the other side and attempt to throw a pass. There's a reason that this play doesn't work against the 49ers, though, and that's because the 49ers have someone on their team named Nick Bosa, who recognizes the play immediately and puts heavy pressure on Wilson, who tries to gut it in there and throws it right into the hands of Fred Warner, who for a 2nd week in a row almost comes down with what was probably going to be a pick 6. Fortunately for Wilson, linebackers usually aren't very good at catching passes. All right, Niners ball, and they would like to pad the lead a little bit before halftime, so they're going to throw here. And then disaster strikes. Garoppolo fumbles the football. It's scooped up by Clowney and taken in for a touchdown. Let's take a look at this play. Now, the Seahawks here are going to run a stunt. And if you remember from our previous videos, a stunt is where the 2 defensive tackles will trade places in an attempt to confuse the offensive line. And it looks like the line does a pretty good job initially of blocking, but once the pass rush gets through, look how quickly he gets to Garoppolo, and just like that. I mean, it happens that quickly in the NFL. In fact, we're going to go back and take another look at this. Okay, right here you see Garoppolo try to run away from the pressure. He's got to just tuck that ball away instead and take the sack. All right, the Seahawks make it 10-7. There's still 2.5 minutes to go, and the Seahawks get the ball to start the 3rd quarter, so the 49ers would like to get some points here if they can. And they call a pretty good play to do that. Here you see Kyle Juszczyk leaving the fullback spot and lining up in the tight end spot. The Seahawks send another 5-man blitz. And this time, they're going to have Jadeveon Clowney go back into pass defense and stay with Kyle Juszczyk. Again, I don't really like that use of personnel. Clowney's going to be a lot better rushing the passer, so let him do that. Now, Juszczyk just goes right by him, of course, and the linebacker does come over to pick him up, but he can't stay with Juszczyk either, so this play looks like it's good right from the start. And in fact, we're going to notice, take a look at which direction Juszczyk is facing. He's facing towards the sideline, towards the outside, right? And that makes sense because he's going to keep running downfield, but the defense for the Seahawks is to the inside. In fact, Garoppolo is going to throw this ball to the outside. So I don't really understand here why Juszczyk turns around to the inside, because now he's going to have to turn and make an adjustment to the ball. And even though it hits him right in the hands, he drops it. I want you to notice this pass travels a long way in the air, and Garoppolo has to get it over the linebacker, but into the hands of Juszczyk. This is a great throw that hits him right in the hands, and he just can't come down with it. He turned the wrong way on the route, and it cost him a catch. Okay, the Seahawks get the ball back. It's right before the half, and this is a big play. But we're going to look at something interesting here. We're going to count the number of eligible receivers that the Seahawks have on this play. You're allowed up to 5, so count with me here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what do I mean when I say an eligible receiver? Well, an eligible receiver is someone that is allowed to run down the field and catch a pass. And by down the field, I mean past the line of scrimmage, which here we see is just outside of the 27-yard line. The reason I bring all this up is because we're going to take a look at what an ineligible receiver is. And an ineligible receiver is defined as a penalty called against the offensive team when a forward pass is thrown while the player who is ineligible to receive a pass is beyond the line of scrimmage without blocking an opponent at the time of the pass. Now, in reality, the refs are pretty good about giving you a yard of leeway as far as being beyond the line of scrimmage, right? But here we see the left tackle, Dwayne Brown, is not only beyond the line of scrimmage, he's beyond that extra yard they give you too. He's way down the field, and the pass is in the air. This is an ineligible man downfield. He was not one of those 5 people we counted at the start of the play. This should have been a penalty called against the Seahawks, and the refs missed it. Now, ultimately, it didn't matter, because what you're about to see is one of the most amazing defensive plays I've ever seen on a Monday Night Football game. This is awesome. Here is Jaquiski Tartt. Now, he's out of bounds right here, and there's a rule. You're not allowed to go out of bounds and then come back in and be the first person to touch the ball. But the ball is in the possession of DK Metcalf the whole time. So Tartt comes back in bounds, reestablishes himself in bounds. Metcalf is still possessing the ball, and then Tartt strips the ball from Metcalf and then gains possession before Metcalf can get into the end zone. This is San Francisco football, and it's a terrific play. It looks even better from the other angle, so let's take a look. Now here you see that having that ineligible man downfield gave the Seahawks a little bit of a blocking advantage on that play. But like I said, it doesn't matter. This is so good. It's a great play by Tartt in slow motion, but let's go back and take a look at it in real time. Let's rewind this. Okay, take a look at it at normal speed here. Look how quickly that happened. That is so good. That is a phenomenal play. The 49ers have an extremely good defense. They stopped the Seahawks from scoring before the half. Now remember, the Seahawks get the ball back to start the third quarter. But Wilson goes down yet again. The Niners are going to be able to ride this defense as far as it will take them. And here we see again number 54, Fred Warner, lined up at the line of scrimmage, and again he blitzes. Now, San Francisco hasn't done much offensively since those first 2 drives, which were really good. So let's take a look at what they cook up here. At the top, Marquise Goodwin is going to go deep. And in the middle, Kendrick Bourne is also going to go deep. The safety backpedals, and the corner who is defending Bourne is going to be forced to turn around and go into an all-out sprint to keep him from blowing right by him. As soon as he does that, Kendrick Bourne will just cut to the outside, and Garoppolo will get him the football. And the ball bounces right off of Bourne's hands and into the defenders, who picks it off and returns it all the way down to the 15-yard line. This is a terrible play for Kendrick Bourne. This is one of those kinds of plays that can never happen. You're going to have drops as a receiver, but this can just never happen. Now here we see Joe Staley forcing the linebacker who's rushing to take the long way around. Garoppolo senses it, gets a perfect pass to Bourne. I mean, look at that. It hits him right in the hands. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a catchable ball. Kendrick Bourne simply must make that catch. And you can never have this happen. I mean, this was a back-breaking turnover. It was really hard to watch because Kendrick Bourne has been playing so good this entire year, but it led to an easy touchdown for the Seahawks. Well, I shouldn't say easy because it's 3rd down here, and Wilson doesn't really have anybody open. He does see that the tight end has gotten behind the defense, but he doesn't really have an angle to throw it. But the problem is the Niner defense is closing in on Wilson. But you know what? It's 3rd down. So why not just throw it anyway? What's the worst that could happen? Wilson throws it to a spot on the field, a nice, safe spot where only his man can get it, or it'll be an incomplete pass. And to me, that was the most impressive part of this play. Not necessarily the throw, but the fact that Wilson understood the game situation. Okay, I guess the throw was pretty good too. It's now 14-10, and the Seahawks are threatening again. They're getting ready to punch it in and go up 21-10, but I want you to watch the left guard here because he's going to false start on this play. Watch. Oh, he moves right there. And you can see the 49ers all pointed out, but the officials don't call it. And the 49ers are very upset. You see them reacting after the play. Watch it again from this angle. Look right here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a false start. They don't call it. The Seahawks take it in for a touchdown, and they go up 21-10, and they've got all the momentum at this point. But you remember in the first half when Jimmy Garoppolo fumbled, and the Seahawks picked it up and took it all the way back for a touchdown. Well, in this crazy atmosphere of a game, Russell Wilson does the exact same thing. He fumbles the football, and DeForest Buckner takes it all the way in for a 49ers touchdown. This is unbelievable. The 49ers do something very rare for them here. They send the number 1 rated slot corner in the NFL, K'Wan Williams, on a corner blitz. It looks like they pick him up at first, but Wilson never sees him coming. The pressure gets to him. The ball comes out. The lineman takes it. He fumbles it. DeForest Buckner picks it up. And the 49ers are right back in this thing, and they're going for 2. They're going to make it a 3-point game. Now, you see Kendrick Bourne go out wide there. And the corner has no idea what Bourne's going to do. Bourne might go to the corner. He might run it out. And in fact, what happens is he gives the corner a move to the outside and then cuts back to the inside where he has a lot of space, and Garoppolo gets him the football. The 2-point try is successful, and the score is 21-18. Garoppolo's been delivering strikes all night, and this is another one. Take a look. Right on the money. Now, the Niners aren't out of the woods yet. They're still down by 3 points, so they need to go on another drive and kick a field goal. They start off by sending Deebo Samuel deep. Now, if you remember last week, we talked about press coverage. And the risk of playing press coverage is that the receiver can blow right by you and then he's gone. So the corner starts off in press, but then immediately sprints backwards. This is called press bail. He's pressed, but then he's going to bail on it. And when Deebo sees that, he just stops and turns around at the 50-yard line and catches a pass. This is a nice long gain for the 49ers. And remember, Deebo always makes the first man miss, or at least powers through him. Look at him fighting for those extra yards. That is awesome. Now this ball has to travel a long ways in the air, so the timing is critical here. His back foot hits, he fires, and it's right when Deebo comes out of his break. That is very good quarterback play. Okay, forget what I said about a field goal. How about a touchdown here to take the lead? The 49ers call another pass. Again, Garoppolo throws a strike. It hits Kendrick Bourne right in the hands. And again, he drops it, and it's almost intercepted by the Seahawks. Kendrick Bourne, he's so up and down tonight. The 49ers kick another field goal, and notice again, they're on the left hash. The Seahawks drive the ball all the way down and kick a field goal themselves, regaining the lead and going up by a score of 24-21 with 1:20 left in the game. I included this next play to be fair. I showed Wilson throwing an almost interception to Fred Warner, so now here's Jimmy Garoppolo's almost interception to Bobby Wagner. Fortunately for these guys, linebackers aren't very good at catching passes. Okay, there's just over a minute to go, and the Niners need to get the ball into field goal range. Otherwise, they're going to lose this football game. Now, Garoppolo sees that all the receivers are covered, but the running back is not. That's Coleman, and he makes Bobby Wagner miss, and then gets a few extra yards on the play. Also notice the pass protection is pretty good here. He had time to make his reads and then dump the ball off. Okay, 18 seconds left. They still need a few more yards. Okay, right here we see that the Seahawks are doing a really good job of defending the deeper parts of the field. There is a very small window to Deebo Samuel, and Garoppolo just guns this football in there. Deebo makes a man miss and gets inside the 30-yard line, which is where you want to be for your field goal attempt. Okay, now they have to spike the ball here to stop the clock because they're out of timeouts. Notice how calm Garoppolo is. He looks left, he looks right, he makes sure the formation is legal, and then he spikes the ball. 6 seconds left. Now this time the kick is in the middle, but it's still pretty close to the left hash. It's good, and we are going into overtime. But the Seahawks in overtime have driven all the way down to the 15, and if they score a touchdown here, the game is over. And under pressure, Wilson throws a horrible, inexplicable red zone interception in overtime to a linebacker. A linebacker caught one. It's Dre Greenlaw, and he takes it 47 yards back. This is a crushing blow. Wilson had a pretty bad game. 5 sacks, a fumble return for a touchdown, and this awful, awful interception in the red zone in overtime. Wilson's only thrown one other red zone interception in his career. But we won't talk about that. Okay, it's 3rd and 6, and the Niners are driving for the win now. This was a really nice third down play. They send Raheem Mostert in motion and have him line up very tight to the formation. Now the Seahawks are going to be in a zone defense. And Shanahan is so good against these zone defenses because what he does is he puts defenders in conflict. They don't know which player they're supposed to be defending. Here Mostert is open and Garoppolo gets him the football for a first down. Big time play in overtime. All right, here we go. The ball is inside the 30. Time to kick the game-winning field goal. Despite being down Kittle, despite being down Emmanuel Sanders, despite being down Robbie Gould, the 49ers are going to overcome all of that and beat the Seattle Seahawks. And he missed. But notice what hash he's on. This time, he's on the right hash and not the left hash. Now, I went back and looked at Chase McLaughlin's field goals for the Chargers, and all the ones he missed were from the right hash. It'll be very interesting to see if he kicks against Arizona on Sunday, which hash he's kicking from. Now, despite that setback, somehow the 49ers still got the ball back again. And this brings up a really interesting coaching moment because you can see there's a minute 46 left in the game and it's second down and the clock is stopped. Now, in my opinion, with the 49ers backed up and with less than 2 minutes to go in the game, I want to be careful how I say this because I'm not saying play for the tie. What I'm saying is secure the tie first and then go for the win if you get that opportunity, because you don't want to give the Seahawks too much time to come back and beat you. In my opinion, the 49ers needed to mix in a couple of running plays here to keep the clock moving, especially after a first down incompletion. But they call a pass play to Dante Pettis. And he drops it. This was a big drop. Not necessarily because of the yardage, but because it stops the clock again. And now the 49ers are really up against it. That is a catchable ball, folks. After the game, Shanahan was very hard on Dante Pettis, and I believe it was this play that upset him the most. Okay, it's third down and 10, and the 49ers are just going to take a shot and go for it all here. Now Debo gets behind Shaq Griffin and Garoppolo bombs it out there, and Shaq has to lay out for the ball, and he is a little bit hurt on the play, but it was worth it because he saves the game for the Seattle Seahawks. And let's take another look. Now, one thing I'll say here is that Debo can't just wait for the ball like that. He's got to jump up and get it at its highest point. And as he gains more experience, that's something he'll learn. Okay, now this was the big play from Russell Wilson to get the Seahawks down into field goal range. And I showed you all those sacks by Fred Warner earlier in this video, and that wasn't an accident because here he's lined up close to the line of scrimmage, but instead of blitzing Wilson, the team had him drop back into pass coverage instead. When Wilson sees that, he takes the space that the defense left behind and he scrambles for a big gain on the play. That was a huge play late in the overtime period to give the Seahawks a chance to win. With just 4 seconds left in the overtime period, the Seahawks kicked the game-winning field goal. It's so strange because the 49ers had so many big plays, but the teams were unusually evenly matched. Wilson was sacked 5 times. He fumbled the football that was returned for a touchdown. He threw a back-breaking interception. But Garoppolo was sacked 5 times. He fumbled the football for a touchdown, and he threw an interception that was off Kendrick Bourne's hands but was no less backbreaking. This was such a competitive game. It took literally every possible second for a winner to be declared. And it's strange that, the 49ers get the loss in this game when they had it. They had the game-winning field goal. They were lined up for it. And if they kick that field goal, the conversation is completely different. So what's my take on this game? Well, I think the 49ers are really, really good. Like I said, they didn't have Kittle. They didn't have Robbie Gould. They didn't have Emmanuel Sanders, aside from a few plays earlier in the game before he got hurt. And they went toe-to-toe with a red-hot Seahawks team. The sky is the limit for the 49ers. This defense played incredible tonight. They made big plays. They completely shut down Russell Wilson. And it will be very interesting to see how they react coming off of this loss. Are they going to take it to the Arizona Cardinals? Are they going to take it to the Green Bay Packers? They have the potential to. They have the talent. We will see. I want to thank all my new subscribers. I especially want to thank everybody for being so patient with this video. It obviously this takes a lot of time and effort to make this. So if you could just take 1 or 2 seconds and click that like button, I would really appreciate it. If you like this video, go ahead and share it. I read all the comments. I see great comments every week. I see very high-level football ideas, and I also see very basic questions, and I like those the most because that's how we learn, right? If you don't know something, absolutely ask. I will answer, other people on the thread will answer, and hopefully we can all gain some football knowledge. This has been so fun to do these, and I can't wait to do the breakdown of the Arizona game, and I will see you guys then.